I opened up in this way to try to make it so that the
oh, how they pound, raising the sound. Gaily they ring while people sing songs of good cheer.
I think you can see some of the some of the smoke machines and stuff of us trying to create magic in visual form.
Making my eyes watery already. Yes, Sir Hairless here. Today we have our second ever reaction to a version of the very popular carol, Carol of the Bells. I love this carol. It's quite different from most carols in the sense that inherently it is quite dark, not very cozy, musically anyway, which in a way is sort of contradictory to the lyrics. It's a stormy day here outside, so perhaps quite a fitting one to do today. My previous Carol of the Bells reaction was Pentatonix's version. I loved that. I thought it was incredible. It's actually my highest rated Pentatonic song that I've ever seen and ever done. So I am very excited for this. I love Peter Hollens' arrangements from what I've seen so far. You can find them all in my Peter Hollens playlist card up here or in the description below. If this is the first Peter Hollens video you're seeing me react to, please do check out my previous ones in that playlist. I just received my Spotify Wrapped, which is basically a summary of my previous year's listening data on Spotify, and Spotify is where I mostly listen to all my music. Peter was in my top 5 artists this year, and I only discovered him in February with his Sound of Silence with Tim Faust. That's mostly due to a couple of songs, Hellfire and Black is the Colour of My True Love's Hair, both found in that playlist. In fact, Black is the Colour was the song I listened to second most out of every song in the world in the whole year. So if you don't believe my words when I say I'm excited for this and that I love the arrangements that I've seen so far by him, this is the data to prove it. The title is Carol of the Bells, Peter Hollens and Friends. I've seen him collaborate with many people, with his patrons in I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For. In the description, it shows the collaborators here actually. By the looks of it, there's potential for some absolutely massive sounds in here at some point. I'm very excited. I love this carol. Let's get straight into it.
Christmas is here, bringing good cheer to young and old, meek and the bold. Ding dong, that is the song with joyful ring. All caroling, one sees you hear words of the church, ringing within the air. Oh, how they pound, raising the sound, o'er hill and dale, telling the tale. Gaily they ring while people sing songs of good cheer. Christmas is here. Merry, 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 merry Christmas. Merry, 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 merry Christmas. On this hand, on without end, dear joyful tone to every home.
It's making my eyes watery already. I've just paused and I've seen actually it looks like it's a really short one. We're over halfway through already. So we'll just carry on until the end and then go through some analysis afterwards. But just some initial thoughts. There's already so many interesting things that he's done here that I think are really, really, really clever in terms of the harmony, some very subtle, well, not subtle actually, harmonic changes which completely change the feel, but also keep the feel of the carol that we all know and love. And that's such a difficult thing to do with arrangements, implementing drastic changes whilst also making sure that there is still a very clear resemblance to the original source, rhythmically as well, right from the beginning. I'll touch on that in a bit in the analysis. And at the start, we don't get that melody that outlines the minor third, which is why intrinsically I think it's an especially darker carol. The notes of the famous motif are... And this is the minor third of the G chord, instead of this one, which would be the major third, which would completely change the sound of the carol. So even though at the start we don't get that and we get these rhythmic changes, If we hear it's in the rhythm of the original carol. So that motif is there, not in melody, but in the underlying percussive elements. Really, really interesting. All right, let's carry on until the end. So cool. So cool so far. Let's go from this bit. The bass part here, oh, it makes the sound. Gaily they ring while people sing songs of good cheer. Gaily they ring while people sing songs of good cheer.
Merry, 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 merry Christmas. Merry, 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 merry Christmas. On and they send on without end, dear joyful tone to every home. Ding dong, ding ding dong, ding ding dong, ding ding dong. How the bells toll, silver bells all seem to say, throw cares away. Christmas is here, bringing the cheer to young and old, meek and old. Ding dong, that is a song with joyful ring. All caroling, one seems to hear words of good cheer from everywhere. There in the air.
Oh, how they pound, raising the sound, o'er hill and dale, telling the tale.
Gaily they ring while people sing songs of good cheer. Christmas is here. Merry, 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 merry Christmas. Merry, merry, merry Christmas. Merry, 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 merry Christmas.
Merry, 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 merry Christmas.
On they send on without end their joyful tone to every home. On they send on without end their joyful tone to every home.
Oh, that's just one of those performances, videos, arrangements that affect me physically. There's nothing I can do about it. I listen to it and I get goosebumps. My eyes go a bit red. Really so cool. I'm going to be listening to that so many times. So many times I know already. Well, let's just get straight into it. This is editing, so Hairless from the future. I'm just editing the video at the moment. After filming my reaction to this, I reached out to Peter because I had a few questions and he very kindly sent me a video answering them and telling us a little bit about the performance. So I'll include some short clips here and there where relevant in the video. So don't be scared or surprised if you see Peter's lovely face popping up. The concept of including so many other people. I'd love to know exactly how many people there are here. Must be a couple of hundred or so, right? And the video itself is super widescreen. It gives this really cinematic feel to it. Very useful because of the number of people, I would assume, rather than just having Peter himself multiplied 5 times or something. And the aesthetic, I love it. It looked quite cold. You can see this bit here. The breath coming out. That's like me when I walk outside where I am in the winter. So I would imagine this was quite cold when they were filming, or not. Maybe they've done something else, but they have the added kind of smoke or steam in the for the atmospheric effect.
This was such an incredibly cold night in Utah, in this abandoned area. I think you can see some of the some of the smoke machines and stuff of us trying to create magic in visual form.
Everything color coordinated, the different groups all quite matching, red, blue, black. And before we get into the music, the one thing that really stuck out to me was the almost dystopian feel, quite militaristic, almost like some sort of regime. Now, I do not mean this in a bad way at all, and hopefully you kind of see what I mean. But regimented comes to mind, almost robotic, and I love it how smooth these transitions are. And everything is in right angles. They're walking and then they turn in right angles. The groups join, they separate without even looking at each other. I think this is so cool because it creates an almost, I'll use the word unsettling. I don't mean unsettling, but I can't think of a better word. But like a really strange feeling. And the music is so great, so phenomenal. And all of these things combined just, I don't know, it's a bit of a sensory overload, I guess.
But we wanted it to feel like a one take, but incorporate the magic that exudes the ability to do these like pretty seamless transitions. And I thought, you know, the team and I did a really good job at finding those moments. I think you can see some of the smoke machines and stuff of us trying to create magic in visual form.
And here as well, the imagery.
Christmas is here, bringing good cheer to young and old, meek and the bold. Ding dong, that is the song with joyful ring, all caroling.
They've utilized the many people that they have here so well. It's unifying, huge sound, huge group of people visually. Yeah, great directing choices here.
We're so lucky to be able to work with such incredible people. And I think Nick Sales right here is running around. I think my buddies Nick Sales, Merlin Showalter.
All right, well, let's hop into the music. As I mentioned before, we start with not the familiar motif, that minor third. We don't get that. Instead, I really like this because it's very interesting rhythmically. When we start off with these initial and Peter's using quite a lot of air in his voice there as well. Rhythmically, I'm thinking compound time. So they're the strong beats, jum, bum, 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 and each one is subdivided into 3 smaller beats. Cha-cha-cha, 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 cha-cha-cha. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So we're thinking in 3s. That might just be me. You might be thinking 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Then the next part comes in. But the idea of 3s is now confirmed. 1, 2, 3, cha-cha-cha. So in short, it's not immediately obvious what the fundamental rhythms will be. And with songs in general, it's usually quite important to get a feel of the underlying rhythmic structure. It gets us familiar with what we're listening to. We can get into the swing of it. Then the next parts come in. And now I'm sure we are all feeling the 3s. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Harmonically as well, things aren't that clear yet. Like I said in the little pause halfway through, rhythmically we can hear that. I'm just editing now, and look how weird the effect is that my microphone created when I was just singing this little motif. If you listen past all the weirdness, it's literally added in another voice. Something I'm sure to do with harmonics. Super strange. Just thought I'd share that in the but melodically it's not there. And we have the different parts, but there's one part, for example, that changes so subtly each time, but it changes the whole sound. Ding dong, ding dong. Just a little change there like that. Now, ding dong, ding dong. And now instead of going down, it goes up. Which are these notes, but then the repeated note underneath is, so we get this subtle clash, and that repeated note at the same time is moving. Ding, ding, ding. And that interval there is a major third. But in the context of everything else, it just sounds much darker. So we're getting all these subtle changes between the parts on an individual level, causing, for example, subtle dissonances like we just saw, very subtle, because then by the time we can really focus on it, the other parts have moved. And it's just a really nice introduction.
I opened up in this way to try to make it so that the viewer kept on getting something new as quick as possible. Also, at this point in time, back in, what was this, like 19... Just kidding. I don't even know, 7 years ago. So like 17, one of my highest performing songs around there from an average viewer duration standpoint was Mary Did You Know, where I did the cloning, came in 1 by 1. And so I thought opening up in this way would be advantageous to keep people watching, something that maybe they could think was like my brand.
Such a smooth transition into the introduction of... And even just how they're introduced with this homophonic ba-da-da-da rising. And then the chord just opens up, and it's the basses again that are just adding so much to the richness of the sound. Overall, the backing parts now behind Peter, they are much lower down. Peter still has the upper parts. And it sounds like some of, I guess this is BYU's vocal point rather than BYU's men's chorus. I imagine the men's chorus, there were more of them in the Black Blazers, and there are some more parts higher up as well.
I've always had such an incredibly soft spot in my heart for BYU Vocal Point. They were the first a cappella music I ever heard on cassette tape in middle school. I just fell in love with the sound, and you know, being able to do all these collaborations with them, since having them open up my life and my musical experience to it has been just a treat, you know, to go full circle. And then as we get into the next section, when we have the entire men's chorus joining, similar reasoning. Absolutely have always appreciated choir. It's something that changed my life. Men's choir specifically, my biased nature to male harmony and male voices. I was very much inspired by Near My God to the BYU Vocal Point featuring BYU men's chorus. Honestly, this is perhaps one of my favorite songs of all time.
Peter Hollens' arrangements, you just never know how many layers there are. Probably hundreds in this one especially. So I'm not even going to pretend I can say with 100% certainty exactly what I'm hearing. There's just so much going on. And the bass is going down with the dongs. And we were getting more dissonances, more clashes, which then resolve. But then at that point of resolve, what do we get? A suspension. And the second note on the big dong. It's just a really clever use of counterpoint here. Syncopations, offbeats. There's no beatbox, there's no percussion, but it sounds like there is, just because of all the different parts with their dings and their dongs and their sounds that are produced. Ooh. I know that I'm going to be listening to this tens and dozens of times in a row. Each time I will be listening to a different part, and it's quite good practice, especially when it comes to a cappella. You know, if you want to really be able to dissect the parts, just focus on one. It could be the ding dong, or the ding, 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 ding that this arrangement started with. And that one part that we start with is the main part that is rhythmically peculiar compared to the rest of the arrangement. The rest of the arrangement, as we established, is in 3. So each bar or measure we can think of as 3 beats. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But that part, you get 2 of them every measure. So each one of those notes is equivalent to 1.5 of the other beats. In other words, you get 2 beats in the space of 3 beats, which is like the hemiola notion that I often point out when we hear it in other songs, quite often in other a cappella arrangements for a bit of rhythmic vitality or urgency, as I often say. In this though, it's the very first thing we hear. It throws us off, and it is consistently providing this rhythmic injection of energy. Right. So that's the introduction. We're 51 seconds in. That's almost halfway through the whole arrangement, and we've not had any lyrics yet. Can we call it an introduction if it's half of the arrangement? Well, yeah, sure. I mean, listen to it. There's so much going on. And considering what comes in the second half, I think this sets it up perfectly. We move into the carol now that we are all familiar with. We get the lyrics, the minor third motif being outlined in the lyrics, the descending bass line. Dum, 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 dum. Now the other harmony comes in, again, that we'll all be familiar with in thirds with the melody, but almost immediately now we get the added harmony that just adds some into it. I don't know about you, but I am just drawn to these parts that rise or descend chromatically and then have some jump in there. Ding dong ding dong, that is the song with joyful ring. All caroling one sees you hear words of the church ringing in the air. And then there's the one kind of standout part in the background. With the lyrics one seems to hear words of. Listen out for that one. And what's that part doing? Well, the first part is outlining the arpeggio of G minor, the root chord. And then the next one, back up to the G, but no, we don't get G again. we get C minor. In the traditional carol, it's the same chord there. So quite literally, they change the harmony before then reverting and then leading into this huge, huge moment.
One seems to hear words of a judge ringing in the air. Oh, how they pound, raising the sound.
More people joining, homophony, everyone singing the same words at the same time in the same rhythms. All of the rhythmic intricacies from earlier are now gone. And then the sound gets even bigger, more homophony.
So in general, the thought process behind this entire thing was to keep on adding layers. Pretty soon we have the amazing children's group join in, one voice children's choir.
At the top, we have... Sorry, my microphone doesn't pick it up if I kind of demonstrate high up. I have to do it super, super, super close. And it's really hard to do it that quietly. Anyway, and then the bass part.
Telling the tale, gaily they ring while people sing songs of good cheer.
That chromatic rise. Do, do, do. Oh, I think that's the part I demonstrated earlier, wasn't it?
Gaily they ring while people sing songs of good cheer.
Well, yeah, I love that bass part there. And again, just a shout out to all the smooth transitions.
Merry, 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 merry Christmas. Merry, 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 merry Christmas.
Shout out to the countertenor there. Really nice tone.
On they send on without end, beautiful tone to every home. Ding dong, ding ding dong, ding ding dong, ding ding dong. How the bells ring, silver bells all seem to say, "Don't cares away, Christmas is here, bringing the cheer to young and old, bring and the old."
There is something moving about this. Just so many people united in the music and everything else I've spoken about. And, of course, now we get the entrance of the little ones.
Ding dong, ding dong, that is a song with joyful ring, all caroling.
Coming through in the red, adding more depth to the sound. Being younger, they don't have the bass voices. So they're providing some sustenance, some sustained chords, which naturally, as they sustain, all the parts underneath that are moving around will cause dissonance, then resolve, dissonance, resolve. The arrangement is just growing, growing.
One seems to hear words of good cheer from everywhere, filling the air.
I'd love to see the sheet music if that were possible, because there are just so many parts.
Oh, how they pound, raising the sound. O'er hill and dale, telling the tale.
Very interesting transitionary part in the background there. And then just before the ending, we get a huge unison bit.
Telling the tale.
Gaily they ring while people sing songs of good cheer. Christmas is here. Merry, 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 merry Christmas. Merry, merry, merry Christmas.
O'er hill and dale, telling the tale.
Gaily they ring while people sing songs
I love that transition. It's such a cool
of good
transition.
cheer. Christmas is here.
And then going from unison to counterpoint. And it's the kids' parts there that was standing out to me.
Christmas is here. Merry, 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 merry Christmas.
The lower parts emphasizing the first strong beats of the bar. The new upper parts providing additional rhythmic counterpoint in the beats in between these strong beats.
Merry, 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 merry Christmas.
Merry, 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 merry Christmas.
On they send on without end their joyful tone to every home. On they send on without end their joyful tone to every home.
And then that final chord, Peter ending with the melody and the ums in the background. But the ums are really emphasizing an open fifth, which, as I often say, can really, really sound quite archaic. Open fourths, open fifths, they were used in music from many centuries past, called organum. That's where they'd move in parallel motion. Here they don't move, they stay, but it's still an archaic type of sound. So in our G minor chord, with the melody outlining the minor part, the emphasis in the backing ums really is this open fifth.
Drone shot. I remember the drone would get so close that I kept getting so scared. You could see like my shirt moving because of the... Anyway, yeah, that was really fun. It was a really cold, fun experience, and one in which I wish I had the opportunity to like go and thank each and every single one of these individuals. What an incredible experience, what a fun song, and I really hope that people enjoy it. I hope you enjoy it.
I really, really liked that. There was so much more in there. That really was an arrangement where every second or 2 seconds there'd be something new to talk about. That's 2 extremely successful Carol of the Bells arrangements that I've heard so far. Well, I need to go and edit this video, and then afterwards I will be listening to this on repeat for sure. Let me know your thoughts down below, and as always, thank you very much for watching. Would appreciate a like and subscribe. As I mentioned, it's quite stormy outside. You can keep me safe and warm and cozy by donating me a hot chocolate or 2 at the Buy Me a Coffee linked below. And if you'd like to join the community, get access to exclusive content that's not available on YouTube, you can do so by joining the Patreon linked on the screen now, and I will see you next time.